scholarships, again, academic scholarships are awarded by our admissions office. They're automatically reviewed. And then need-based is awarded by our office, and that's by the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So these are the things that the admissions team is looking at whenever you are submitting your admissions application and reviewing that. Their primary criteria is, of course, your high school GPA and the rigor of curriculum, and they look at that for all high schools everywhere, even outside of the United States. The SAT and ACT.
Can I pause real quick?
Yeah.
Are you any freshmen and sophomores in the room? Okay. For freshmen and sophomores, your GPA includes English, math, science, social studies, languages other than English, and some dual credit AP for your BISD class rank. When she's talking about GPA, they're talking about everything. So you have your GPA that's calculated in BISD, but they're going to look at all your classes, including fine arts, CTE, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to clarify that because that's a difference between how we calculate and what they're going to look at.
Good. So SAT currently is we're test optional. That could change in the future. So keep in mind when you start applying for institutions, double check and see if it is still test optional. Whenever the admissions team is looking at your application, the only time that they will use those SAT or ACT scores if it benefits you. If it's going to hurt you, it's like it's never even there. The second criteria is basically they're going to look at your resume. They're going to look at what extracurricular activities you're in, your leadership within the time you're in school, and then also your work experience. So whenever you are submitting your admissions application to any institution, make sure that you're putting your best self on a piece of paper so they know everything great that you've done while you were in school. Just to note that these scholarships can be very competitive. If you apply to TCU and you don't receive one, that doesn't mean that you weren't eligible. They're very competitive and sometimes they can go fast. A little bit more on performance scholarships. Those are going to be those fine art scholarships, which is band, music, choir, dance. All of those require auditions. If you are going to be going into something like that, be sure to reach out to the department directly so you can find a little bit more information about when the auditions are and what the requirement is. Just to note, sometimes like if you are a business major, but you still want to do band or something, you do not have to be a band major or a music major sometimes. So that's another question that you would need to ask if that's something that you want to explore. So the FAFSA, the TASFA is the application for Texas residents that are not eligible to do the FAFSA. So if you are eligible to complete the FAFSA, the TASFA is not something that you have to do in addition. The only thing that you have to do in addition is the CSS profile upon entering, and then every other year is just the renewal of the FAFSA. Right now, the number that they come up with is called an estimated family contribution, but next year, so 24-25, it's going to switch to student aid index. So it's a little bit confusing right now because it says family contribution. It's not a dollar amount that you're going to have to give to the institution. It's basically a number on a scale of 0 to basically 1 million, and you fall on there based on your income, how many people you have in your family, investments, assets, and then we use that number to build a financial aid budget. And then to note, there's no income cutoff for qualifying because there are a lot of different variables. Like I said, how many people are in your household, how many people are in college. Sometimes your age comes into effect, your marital status. So it's really hard for us to determine what that estimated family contribution would be without the numbers right in front of us. This is the page to complete the FAFSA. It is studentaid.gov, and this is where you would find the FAFSA application. If you're going to do the Parent Plus loan, you would apply for that on this website. If your student is going to be taking student loans, they will do their entrance counseling and sign their master promissory note on this page. Basically, anything that has to do with the federal funding is going to be on this website. When you are completing a FAFSA, there can be some confusion which parent's income gets reported. If your biological parents are married, both of them will be listed on the FAFSA. If your biological parents are divorced, then it will be the custodial parent. So the custodial parent would be who you live with more. And if it is split down 50-50, that would just be a conversation between both of the parents on who was going to take the responsibility of being that custodial parent. It doesn't mean that you are required to do anything more than non-custodial parent, it's just whose income is going to be reported. If you're remarried and you're the custodial parent, both you and your new spouse will need to be reported. If you are unmarried, if biological parents are married and they live together, both of them are still reported. There is a marital status that says living together. If you are widowed, it would just be the parent that is still with us. And then if the other parent passed away in the tax year that is being reported, there is a way to get that income taken out. You would need to contact the institution that you're applying to and inquire about how to go about that. Like I mentioned earlier, the CSS profile, well, I haven't said this. The non-custodial parent comes to play when you do the CSS profile. This is when it gets a little bit different than the FAFSA because both parents have to report their income. So the custodial parent would need to match who is on the FAFSA, and then the non-custodial parent is sent an email to create their own account, completely separate from the non-custodial parent to complete their portion, and then the CSS profile would be complete. In the event that you do not have a relationship with the non-custodial parent, there is a waiver either on the website, or TCU has their own waiver as well, so you can either pull that from their website or email our office to get that information. This is the FAFSA application, so again, if you are unable to fill out the FAFSA, this is going to be what you would complete. Right now they're trying to make an electronic version of it. It was supposed to be out for this year, but as of today, there's no update. This is the CSS profile website. This is collegeboard.csssprofile.org. Also, if you just Google CSS profile, it'll pull it up. So this is where you would complete that. And then if you, as a non-custodial parent, have questions about how to complete your portion, in this bottom right-hand corner, that is a tutorial that walks you through how to complete that. Every institution is going to have a cost of attendance. That doesn't mean that this is what you're going to be charged, but it's just an average budget of a year at an institution. Of course, it's going to have your tuition fees, your residence hall and meals. If you're living at home, you will not have that. But books and supplies, travel expenses, and personal expenses as well. That way, if we had a student that is applying from up north and they need to utilize funding from a loan for travel expenses, we include that in there so they're not stuck in a rough spot and they can have that room in their budget. The only thing that you're absolutely going to be charged is the tuition and fees. At TCU, for your first year, you're required to stay on campus, so you would be your resident hall and meals. But moving forward from that, if you did not live on campus, it would still remain in your budget, you just would not be charged. I hope that makes sense. Did that make sense? Okay. When we are calculating your need for that need-based funding, we're going going to take that cost of attendance, which ours for next year is about $78,000, and then we will take the estimated family contribution, and the difference between the two is your need budget. And that's what we would fill with scholarships and grants. So this is a little diagram of what it would look like. Your less expensive, it would be comparable to like a state school, and their cost of attendance is lower than the more expensive, but as you see, the need budget is lower because there's not that big gap. And so we're able to fit in more scholarships and grants to close that gap and still at the end be the same as a less expensive school. So just to kind of put into words and numbers what it would look like to build a financial aid budget based on your estimated family contribution off of the FAFSA and the CSS profile. And then finally, deciding which school's right for you. Ultimately, you need to pick where you fit best, what feels like home, where you're going to enjoy 4 years of learning and moving on to the next chapter of your life. So look at the academics. I know TCU has a phenomenal nursing program, so if that's something that you want to pursue, that's a college to look into. But look at the academics and pick where you would learn best from. Social connections, this doesn't mean like your fraternity and your sorority. Of course, those can benefit you in the future, but like at TCU, you can make social connections with your professors, with the chancellor, with staff and faculty all over campus. And then of course the net cost, just something to be aware of whenever you're searching for an institution to call home. Just be sure that you are keeping in mind the net cost of your education. And then you'll find the best fit for you. This is our contact information if you ever want to get more information about TCU. We are open Monday through Friday when the university is open. And then that is our general email, our website, mail, phone number. If anybody wants to take a picture of this, you're more than welcome to. And then I will open the floor for questions. Yes, sir.
What about the National Honor Society? I've heard that there's like a $5,000 scholarship that some universities honor. Does TCU do that?
For National Honor Society, unless it's a scholarship that is sent to us like via check, it's not something that would be automatically put on their account.
Sorry, one more question.
No problem.
What about okay, so you mentioned there's like the fine arts scholarship. What about, is the student allowed to do a dual major with that scholarship?
Absolutely. All TCU aid is awarded for 8 semesters. So that 8 semesters is obviously equivalent to 4 years. So if they can do a double major and complete that in the 8 semesters, they are more than welcome to do that. But if it exceeds that 8 semesters, then you would only be offered federal funding. Yes, ma'am.
How soon do you recommend, or is it recommended for instance, FAFSA and the other documents to be submitted to universities of interest?
So the FAFSA for, the 23-24, the one we're coming on, opened October 1st.
Okay.
So as soon as you can do it, I would say the better. If you are having issues with it or you're waiting on something, of course, it's okay to wait on that. Our priority funding deadline is February 1st. So just keep in mind whenever you are applying to institutions that they might have a priority funding deadline.
Can I jump in on that
Yeah.
also? So we, if you aren't the parent of a senior, we do a whole lot of support of the FAFSA starting in September each year. And then for your FSA ID, which is basically your account to do the FAFSA, and then starting October 1, we'll have several evenings to support that. So we will, you'll be hearing from us a lot in October.
anybody else? Yes, sir.
Sorry, so my daughter is a junior, she's gonna be a senior next year, so the application will go out next fall. You mentioned that TCU right now is SAT test optional scholarships, will that be the case in the fall, or can you shed some light on that?
So right now we are test optional. Whenever you are getting ready to, so your student is going to be a senior next year.
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you are looking to start applying, just reach out to our admissions team and simply ask them if that policy has changed or not.
I have a question about the first year of a freshman. Why would a freshman go to a private college at that cost for certain courses that are generally offered at the community college or even at the high school? I know that the high school has that dual credit program. What would be the benefit of that when the material is basically the same? And I didn't see any cost comparisons. I'm sure I could look that up online. But TCU has a reputation of being a very expensive school. And so I don't understand why I would be paying, let's just say triple for an algebra class that can be taken at a local community college. What would be the benefit of a student coming in at a freshman level instead of, say, with already an associate degree at the junior level?
That is a great question.
I'm trying to be pragmatic
Yeah.
about every dollar that I earn, and I think other people in here probably should need to know that too.
Absolutely, I agree with you. TCU is an institution that does have a higher cost of attendance. It's all, first and foremost, what's best for you and your family. So if that, going to a community college to get some of those basics out of the way and transferring in, it would be best for you, by all means. We encourage that because the last thing that we want a student to be worried about is their finances when they're at school. Now, entering in as a first-year student, the benefits would be campus culture. It would be getting involved with clubs or fraternity, sorority. It's mainly to have that experience as a four-year student at the institution. So it really boils down to what would be the best fit for you and your family.
But if that financial aid student does do the dual enrollment through the high school?
It does not affect their financial aid if you do dual enrollment. The only thing, coming in as a transfer student, they go through a different financial aid packaging, and they are eligible for different kinds of scholarships. Rather than coming in as a first year, they're just separated. Not saying that you don't have the same eligibility, but they're just different.
How are they different?
The GPA requirements are different. The dollar amounts are the same as well. So you still are eligible for the same amount as a first-year student, but they just, when the admission team is looking, they're looking at different things rather than a high school senior versus a sophomore in college.
This would be a high school senior.
I'm sorry? Right, you're still entering, as a dual credit, you would still be technically a first-year student.
So you might have the credits
Right.
of a college sophomore because of the dual credit and AP classes, but you count as a first-year student, not a transfer student. But the student who starts at TCC for 2 years after high school graduation and then transfers to TCU, that's the transfer. Even though they might transfer with all the same dual college-level courses, that's the difference is, have you attended college after graduating high school versus college in high school? Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yes, sir.
So as a freshman, if your family lives in the area, do you still have to stay on campus?
Absolutely not. That is not an expense that you have to take. You would have to fill out an application to opt out of on-campus housing through housing, but that is definitely an option. Yes, ma'am.
On the CSS profile, the non-custodial parent, do they count the income if they are remarried, both parents?
Yes.
Just like the bathroom?
Yes, everything has to be current, although the taxes are 2 years behind. Everything else such as your marital status, your retirement, any asset information, that would be as of today. Yes, ma'am.
So you just said 2 years behind, so if your child is a senior next year, it would be 2 in 2021's taxes?
So for this upcoming academic year is 21 taxes, so next year will be 2022. 23-24 is 21 taxes, 24-25 is 22 taxes. Yes, sir.
Back on the SAT thing, if you had your SAT score sent to the university already, is there a way to check on your application that you don't want the SAT scores considered?
I do believe there would be, that again would be through the admissions team, so you can either reach out to your admissions counselor directly, or you can just call the admissions office and ask them to speak to a counselor.
You're saying no, that they're only gonna benefit you, the SAT and ACT scores, they're not gonna use them negatively toward like their scholarships. If we take another test after they've been accepted that's even higher than the last one, would they increase the scholarship amount? Or is it set from whichever one they have on the file at the date of application?
No, you can submit updated information, like if you submit your transcript that does not have your senior year fall grades on it, you can also submit that at that time as well. So nothing is ever set in stone. If you get something that's better, by all means, send it to us.
Okay. Is that the end of our questions? At least for now until you process it more?
I know it's a lot of information that I just threw on you, but again, if y'all ever have any questions or have any questions about TCU, our office is here to help.
Yep, and financial aid office over at the new, I'm gonna probably get this wrong a little bit, at the new Burleson Higher Ed Center is open late, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. So you can ask them questions. They are also, just like y'all, experts in the FAFSA and filling that out. So senior year, they are a great resource and they are open late. I believe it's Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons to help out families. I think maybe till 5:30 or 6. So maybe I got that mostly right. All right. Well, thank you, Lauren. I'm gonna show
Yeah,
you
of course. Thank you all.
one more thing. Okay, so our next College Ready Night, which will be here, I guess that's 1 month from today, isn't it? We're gonna take a look at linking careers to college. So this is gonna be more of a discussion-oriented evening with the student and family, looking at what your interests are and kind of your passions, the themes of what you love, and kind of moving towards what are the careers that use those, and then what are the majors, and then what colleges are the best choices for those, looking at what educates you and to be ready for your career, as well as what's a good financial investment for you in the long run for this. So that's our next event. We'll be here on the 28th, a month from tonight. So if you have any questions, we'll stick around, but that will wrap us up for the night. Thanks for being here.
Question came in from live stream. Clarification, did she say that TCU doesn't go by GPA? So that's a little question. Did she say that TCU does not go by GPA, or how does
Let me
GPA?
answer that, TCU. TCU GPA question.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so the way we calculate, if you're a freshman or sophomore currently, that's a good approximation. And your GPA class rank is based on English, math, science, social studies, language other than English, and some dual credit AP courses. That's a generalization, but it's not based on necessarily all your CTE and fine arts courses. So that's your GPA and class rank within BIST. When you are calculating an unweighted GPA to send to any college, TCU or anybody else, it will include your CTE courses, your fine arts courses, all of those. So those will be included in terms of colleges looking at admissions and looking at GPA for financial aid. However, if the college is looking at your class rank, that will be based on how BIST calculates GPA. So hopefully that helps. Also, I'm sorry for reviewing live. We forgot to hit one more button to start the show, but I believe we recorded the entire thing. So if we did, I will post it to TCU so you can catch the first few minutes, to YouTube so you can catch the first few minutes there. So hopefully that helps.